Hello, I'm Andrew Fraknoi, and this is a poster on science fiction and technosignature search success. Um, I keep a resource guide to science fiction about SETI, which is based on good science, and it's available as part of the materials for this conference, as well as at this shortened URL that you see on the screen. Today, I want to highlight a few of my favorite stories that might be useful for our consideration. There's the classic short story by Terry Bisson, where we send a message and the recipients out there are incredibly shocked and disgusted that the message senders are made out of meat. Probably the first serious novel using good science, good SETI science, and good SETI experiments was James Gunn, The Listeners, based on short stories written in 1966. In which message is received, and he explores the psychological and societal consequences of such a message. A similar novel in 1968 was co-written by Caltech geochemist Harrison Brown, and deals with the receipt of a message in the middle of Cold War tensions and how it affects the world and our view of ourselves. Robert Sawyer, an amateur astronomer, writes a number of novels and stories that have SETI themes. The short story Flashes is probably the one that best considers the psychological and social consequences of getting an encyclopedia of information from another civilization out there. David Brin's complex novel Existence is about the receipt of artifacts which contain competing messages from different civilizations, and humanity has to confront the possibility that those civilizations out there may be engaged in far more hostile actions than they let on. Carl Sagan's well-known novel made into a film, in which the extraterrestrials send us instructions for building something. A similar theme is in Fred Hoyle's earlier novelization of a BBC script, A for Andromeda, in which instructions are received for building a living being. And I wonder if we receive such a message, if we in real life would be as fast to follow those instructions. In general, scientists have been writing good science fiction about SETI and other themes, and they've been collected in a number of anthologies. Here's a recent one edited by astronomer Michael Brotherton. And I'm happy to be able to report that I have a story in there. I've been trying to write scientifically informed science fiction since I retired from full-time teaching, and now a number of my stories have been published on SETI themes. The Unwelcome Reply in Sci-Fi Journal, which you can read at the URL you see, is about getting an answer to our message, which basically says, your call is important to us, but we have many messages in line before yours. In a story about to be published, Who Speaks for Earth, I wonder about the possibility that a reply to one of our messages engenders other religions. I'm not the first to think of this, but in particular, a religion that demands us to answer rapidly, long before the world has had appropriate discussions, and whether the president, of the United States will then bomb or destroy the radio telescope owned by this religious group, or whether there is freedom of speech and freedom of religion when it comes to interstellar messages. In the story The Lurker, from a suggestion by James Benford and others, I think about the possibility that there is an artifact in the asteroid belt from another civilization, just waiting to be activated by local activities in that neighborhood by humans. And I want to close this short review by just asking, can there come a time when there will be too many SETI messages? And in The Shadows of Eternity, a novelization of several short stories by Gregory Benford, a physicist at UC Irvine. He wonders about whether there might be so many messages that we have to build a SETI library just to catalog and deal with all the diverse civilizations out there sending out messages. May that be a problem we have in the future. And finally, I can't resist mentioning Alastair Reynolds, a PhD astrophysicist who is now a full-time science fiction writer and wrote a short story in Nature about a referee's report that rejects a paper about yet one more message from another civilization saying, oh, we've gotten too many for a single new message to deserve a full paper. Write one about a new category, but this isn't worth publishing. What an idea. All right, well, I hope you'll consult the full list, and I hope we can discuss in future meetings the way that scientists can interact with science fiction thinkers. Thank you.